Go read your Bible. Because you come here tonight. My team was able to find the clip from him at Boston College. And he said that these people at Boston College are interested in doing a development in that area. So come back to the Four Seasons thing. Where you going to build it on? You're going to build it up in the sky? The premier, if the premier is not aware that somebody who he put down his head and the same pillow with sometimes, if he is not aware that that person might be making offers for lands in that area, then I am not Carlisle Powell and Martin ain't my grandmother. You can't tell me that he says I am aware. And my trip to New York to Boston College, and you know to see how we sleep in Wall Street alumni. I went to meet with important people. They are interested in a development in that area. But when Carlin asks the question, rumors, go read your Bible. Because this condescending son of a gun want to make people feel that Carlin, because she was wearing green at the meeting, she's stupid and she had no good. Carlin had them on the back foot.
Here's my take on this. He said he has no knowledge at first. He had no knowledge of this development that spans from Long Point to Indian Castle. He has no knowledge of it. But then he later clarified and said, there was an approach. There was an approach. Well, if you are approached about acquiring over 2,000 acres of land from Long Point to Indian Castle, just for context, Saddle Hill is included in this. Land grab. Saddle Hill alone is 1,200 acres. They got winter forests inside there. You have Cockle Harbor. You have so many estates spanning between Long Point and Indian Castle, and they want it all. They made an approach to him. He said he had not seen an official copy, but they made an approach. So if you made an approach to the Premier, and I'm assuming to the Cabinet also, and it was simply an approach, on what basis then is 17 Degrees North pursuing to acquire over 2,000 acres?
Great point.
Hold a minute. Good evening, caller.
Good evening again, gentlemen. We all get different things from what we hear coming out of other people's mouths. Our dear Premier said that once there's a proposal put before Cabinet, because in his, well, the word he used, his method, he always done transparent, and in the interest of transparency, the people will hear about it. I wonder if it's the same transparency that he is going to practice with the airport project and the loan agreements and the agreements with the private investors. That was pretty transparent. Is it the same transparency that is going to be meted out to us that he's done with the hospital? Or is he going to be as transparent with us as he has been regarding the World Bank report on fair share? So transparency for some people may not be transparency for others. So I have a different understanding of the word transparency. I may be wrong, because I don't have a big lot of you anything. But I don't understand his meaning of transparency. It's a different meaning to when I look in the dictionary. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're on point.
The point I'm trying to make, I don't think Mrs. Brantley is stupid. I think she's a very clever person. And I don't think the investors equally are not stupid people. They know exactly what they want. And so this was more than a conversation between Brantley and these mysterious investors. Because no investor is going to be entertaining land acquisition of that expanse over 2,000 acres. And if you include the phone calls that were being made to owners going all the way to butlers, you're talking about the 1/6 of Nevis that is under threat of acquisition. This was more than a conversation. This had to be a commitment by the government to do whatever they had to do to make this possible. And so 17 degrees north were brought in by these investors to facilitate the transfer of lands from private owners to them. Why did they use her? The other agencies, more established agencies on Nevis, that could have done the land acquisition, they chose her for a reason. Perhaps because she was the Premier's wife. She is the Premier's wife. But for him to say that the government has no hard proposal, but at the same time, all these lands are being acquired, which has to be approved by government. If you are buying even a half acre of land, Cabinet has the final say through the Alien Landholding License Act 2006. I could even quote you the paragraph 10.1. The Cabinet has the final say whether your license is approved or not.
So there's no truth to you could sell your land to whoever you want when you
No,
want.
you can try it, you can sell it. The government might not approve it.
Hold a minute, gentlemen. Let's take this call. Good evening, caller.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Well, this is kind of strange because this is Jan Grell calling, and I live right over here on Long Point, Budging Estate. And I got 2 calls to purchase my property. Where I live, maybe I'm supposed to go on the street. But I spoke, the man who was going to buy it, I spoke with the man, and he gave me a rundown of all the development that would take place. So, if they did not speak with the island administration about getting the land and making the development that they want, how could he be telling me what he wanted the land where I live to do? And how could the Premier say that he don't know anything about it? It's just so strange to me. Because where is he getting the permission from to buy up all the land? I don't know if you all understand what I'm saying.
I'm following you.
So I got my calls, and I got 2 calls. I got one, and a month after I got another one.
All right.
But I told them bring $5 million US.
Mm.
I hear nothing else from them.
Thank you very much.
The situation is quite clear. I am convinced, beyond convincing, that these people would have gotten a tacit approval from the government to go ahead with acquisition. They had to. They had to have gotten that. Why engage all of these landowners, literally tens and tens of landowners? Why engage them if you didn't get assurances from the government? Listen, you have no problem with us, Once you get the land bought, we will approve it.
Good evening, caller.
Right?
Okay, soon as I said good evening, the call dropped.
And so you have a situation where the Premier openly lied to the public. Anybody know about the Land Acquisition Act? You simply cannot come in this country and buy what you want.
The Premier is being very loyally with his words. There is no proposal currently before the Cabinet.
Yeah.
Official.
No official currently
Official.
before the Cabinet. He's being very loyally
But why,
with his words.
why would his wife then engage all of these landowners? Why would these landowners waste so much money, so much effort? Because I've seen emails, I've heard of conference calls, I've heard of meetings in the conference room of Daniel Brantley Associates, headed by his wife.
I've heard so.
I've heard of the harassing phone calls, people from Hawaii coming into the mix, people from Barbados, all to get that stretch of land from Long Point all the way to Butlers, including Saddle Hill. Why would these people be going through all this effort without knowing for sure that the government will approve the application for alien land holding license?
I just want to put something on the table. Martha Stewart went to prison for what? Insider trading.
True.
I keep sensing that 17 degrees north may have heard something from 17 degrees Premier. You can't tell me that you're going to go through all of that trouble, have somebody at the registry every single day researching, taking information, and then other people making calls without knowing something.
Yeah.
Insider trading is something, eh? Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening again. Let's get real, okay? If you have an investor who's going to buy up all of these lands, you're talking about tens of millions of dollars, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Really and truly, would an investor be progressing with making offers to purchase land without something in writing, ink and paper, from the government? Do you think this would be just done and they would go to all of that expense on a mere conversation?
Very doubtful. Very doubtful.
You know, it's people who have that kind of money to spend. They have lawyers, and they have really good lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
And lawyers like paper with words and signatures on them. So, let's be real about this. It's saying fantastic, right? There must be an agreement of some kind. Otherwise, these people wouldn't even be looking at it. And they've gone far. They've made offers. They've produced sales contracts. So, I can't see that happening on a mere conversation over a cup of coffee.
Impossible. But let me make one more
Thank
point.
you, caller.
Let me make one more point, Carlisle. One more point. We have a statutory corporation called Nevis Housing and Land that is supposed to be buying and holding land on behalf of the people of Nevis, to advance the people of Nevis. The Premier said he has no control of who people sell the land to. That might be true. No control of who they sell to. But how is it Housing and Land has not seen it important enough to acquire 200 acres, 100 acres, to hold in perpetuity for the people of Nevis, out of this big land block that they're trying to grab? How is it that Housing and Land has not seen fit to invest $1 million, $10 million in trying to acquire some of this land, so at least Nevisians have a place to call home? Second point. I think we are losing a bit of focus because the Premier has created this narrative that these are a bunch of individual investors. They're not. This is one conglomerate who is trying to acquire from Long Point to Butlers to make that area exclusive for themselves. And that is the point. This is not simply a four-season development taking 400 acres, and then you have a Montpellier taking 200 acres, or a Nisbet's taking 50 acres, or Mount Nevis taking 100 acres. It's not like that. This conglomerate is a crypto conglomerate. From all indications, from all evidence, this is a crypto conglomerate that wants exclusive control of this area. Now, Bradley going to face some difficulty because he needs now legislation to pass in Parliament, giving them not only control of that area, but to make it autonomous. So they don't have to comply to the existing law of the land. Similar to what happened in Christopher Harbour. Christopher Harbour is a separate entity to the rest of St. Kitts in terms of legislation. There are a lot of things that Christopher Harbour developers can do that the rest of St. Kitts can't do. I wonder if people are aware of this.
They have an area in Antigua where I believe the Antigua government gave control to some Chinese developers.
Yeah.
There you go. There is a situation in Honduras where when the government that gave this control of this area through legislation, the new incoming government, which is more democratic, withdrew the legislation, and they're now being sued for $14 billion US.
Could be sued.
Huh?
That could be sued.
They are being sued.
Okay.
All right. So the whole point is, Bradley knows everything about this development. He knows that 1/6 of Nevis, including Indian Castle, is up for grabs. And he's facilitating it. There's no doubt in my mind about it. No doubt whatsoever. And so when he talks about he has no control,
Yes, control.
like Colin said, a man comes into your country and says, I want to control 1/6 of it. And your answer is, go ahead, because I have no control over who you buy from.
Dr. Daly and Tulu,
Yes,
remember it was the CCM government that gave control of 1 square mile of Nevis to Newfound.
But this gone for 6 now.
Well, 6 square miles. So they 6 and 1 is 7. 7 from 36 only leave 29.
I don't see of any right thinking division. I don't care what political party you support. I can fathom that we have a premier so intent on being transactional, intent on making money, regardless of the consequences, regardless of who it hurts, regardless of our future, willing and able and committed to giving a 1/6 of the country that we can no longer access.
Good evening, caller.
Hey, good evening, guys. I listened to that clip that you guys played, and I saw it on Facebook, right? You know what the funny thing about that clip is that the question that the lady asked him, right? He keeps saying he can't go based on a rumor. But he never gave an answer and tell the lady, okay, if that ever come to fruition that those people are asking for what the rumor is saying, he would not approve it.
Good point.
And it would not happen under his government.
Good point.
That's what he should be saying. You understand? But he's straying away from that. And guys, I'm so sick and tired of all these prime ministers in all the Caribbean islands. Huh? Each and every one of them is doing the same thing. This stupidness we have, we calling CARICOM and OECS. It is a bunch of hullabaloo. Because I think we should be looking out for our brothers and sisters. Okay? If we want to come collectively as a body to progress our nations. Okay? But when we see one doing a bunch of corruption, why don't the others come together and say, hey, hold up, you can't be doing that. You know, it's just sickening the whole Caribbean. These people just coming in, buying up our best lands, the hilltop, and the seashores. and then the natives cannot go there. Or if they want to go there, it always have to be a battle and fight for them to go there. What happened to our leaders? And our leaders are supposed to be those educated people that making all this stupid, foolish decisions for the people. I'm so tired of them, man. You know, it's about time I just get up and move and lead the place. Leave governing to somebody because he's quite clearly on. He cannot do it. You know, it's about time Nevis people get outraged, both in Nevis and in Sinkers. You know? You guys have a good night.
Thank you very much, Carla.
But
You have a good night.
Well, Carla, you don't find it strange. Perhaps not. But Eric is from Gingerland. Troy is from Gingerland. The Premier was born in Gingerland. He now lives in St. John. And a lot of that territory...
How you get try in Gingerland?
Oh, wait, Gingerland?
From St. John's.
Oh, okay, well. Sorry, Gingerland, I didn't mean to burden you. But you have ministers of government who sit there, who swore on the Bible during their confirmation, during the swearing in, that they would not do anything to harm the interests of Nevis.
That's just farm.
I'm not an overly religious person. But when you put your hand on the Bible and swear duty to the people, and you sit in cabinet and entertain this crap from these investors who want to section off 1/6 of your country, and you don't say nothing?
No formal proposal has come to the Premier.
You sit there, Carl Powell, and say nothing, and you go home and sleep at night, knowing that 1/6 of your country is at risk of being taken away from you as a people.
Means nothing to
This
them.
is treasonous.
Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening to the listening public. Good evening to you guys in the studio.
Good evening.
Now, here we were said to us as a people, and it's not got nothing to do with no system and no NRP, you know. It has to do with Nevis and the soul of Nevis. You see that nigger man? You see that nigger man, this or so? He don't care nothing about us. We know that. All of us know that CCM people, NRP people who don't support nobody, know that the nigger man don't care nothing about us. He's going to sell us out. Virgin, he's going to sell us out if we stop him. We got to stop this man. And ain't nothing hard to do. Let us unite, people. Let us to get together, CCM and NRP supporters. We got children and grandchildren. What happened to the generation behind us? Let me get rid of the man. There ain't nothing hard. Let me unite. Let me stand up together and ask the man to leave. Good night.
Thank you very much. I'm going to make one comment before we move on to something else. It is very, very difficult for me to believe that I would be the Premier of Nevis and I have my son Alan, who I talk to on a regular basis and who I like to bounce ideas off. And I'm entertaining people who, not rumors, he said he went to Boston College and he met with Wall Street alumni. He said that other persons have spoken to him. He admitted, having had conversations. It would stress me really. And the public would have to tell me if they believe me when I tell them that Alan and I live in the same house. Because he lives in the house with his wife. I assume that he sleeps in the same bed with his wife. At least sometimes. It would be difficult for anybody to believe that Alan and I sit down and eat breakfast every morning together. And somebody want to buy 1/6 of Nevis. And I never mentioned it to my son Alan. Never once. My trusted son. Who would believe me? The people would believe me. I wonder if the people out there believe the Premier. That he has not let anything slip. And so that might be part of the reason why somebody from 17 degrees not calling people to offer them sums of money for their lands only in that area. Nobody called me up at Prospect. They're calling people who own lands over there in that area. Anybody would believe me if I tell them that I am the leader of Nevis. And me and my son Alan break bread together and I never mentioned it to him? Me not think so. But we're going to take a break and come back. When we come back, we're going to come back on something else.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
So the CCM Town Hall meetings ended in Charlestown on Sunday night. And there are people who had poor Minister Brand under pressure, asking him to give an account of his stewardship. We'll get to a clip right after this. Good evening, caller.
Yes, good evening, Carlyle. Carlyle.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, good evening. I don't know why you guys worrying about Eric. Eric is a damn well clown. He don't know nothing about what's going on down Henry's Road. Eric's father was overseer down Henry's Road. You know what I mean? Eric never planted a whole boy yet in life.
Well,
When I listen to you guys talking about Eric, Eric is an asshole.
No,
What's your language?
don't say that. Watch your language.
Talking about Eric. You know what I mean? Forget about this guy, Eric. Eric is a joke. You know what I'm saying? Okay, boss. I continue to listen to you guys.
Thank you very much. When you call, even when you get strong and emotional, remember we have Pastor Tulu here with us in the studio.
and we have children listening.
And we got children listening.
And you got me listening.
And you got Daily. Though we don't want you to spoil Daily.
I don't want Daily to get riled up.
Okay. People asked Eric about his stewardship. So Spencer about his stewardship. And so my people put this together for me.
We have done some preliminary design on that Rollins Road project. I believe that our water department would have already came up with their design in terms of the pipe network on that project. We have also looked at the Taylor's Pasture Road. That has been on the cards for some time. We already did the actual road carriageway in terms of the design.
A facility at Cotton Ground. I think that there has already been some preliminary work in terms of the design. So if you saw Minister Brand whispering to me, it was him whispering saying that it really is a project that ought not to take a whole lot to get done.
In terms of the roads in Camps and Westbury. Camps to Westbury. I want to say to you that we have the design from Cades Bay, Fountain, Mount Lily, all the way over to Nisbets. fountain, through all of that. We have that design already. We have the estimate for that road already.
To answer the question on the public library, we do have some prepared plans for refurbishing of the public library, but of course, that there would be budgetary issues.
They're also using that opportunity to import some steel to construct a bridge over in the Newcastle area as well. We have the quotation, so once the company ship the materials for the poultry processing unit, they will also be shipping those steel for those two bridges in particular. So we have the design, we are in the process of ensuring that the resources are available to implement that particular road. Absolutely, we have the design for the road network from just below the basketball court, going west, coming down the road along by Mikey Perkins area, turning left, going up to Caribbean Smart. The Ramsbury playfield, I know that we would have done some preliminary design, maybe about 3-4 years ago, in terms of putting some facility at
Gentlemen, you heard Minister Brand. What have you done? What have you done for your constituency? Why should they vote you back? If Minister Brand had said, I delivered the community center in Charlestown. If Minister Brand had said, I delivered the new clinic in Charlestown. I delivered the hospital wing in Charlestown, in my constituency. The pier in Charlestown, the fisheries complex in Charlestown. I would have said, Minister Brand, I still ain't going to vote for you, but at least you did something. But Minister Brand, in response to that question, said he had designs for about 10 different things. 10! And in none of those 10 was the hospital wing. None of those 10 was the health center in Charlestown. None of those 10 was the fisheries complex or pier in Charlestown. Minister Brand, all those designs that you have, in the old days, they would have said they're in the pipeline. Yours not even in the pipeline. You're just in the line. Good evening, caller.
Good evening. If Minister Brand put back the $1.9 million inside the treasury, we'll say do something. Good night.
Have a good night, sir. Gentlemen, all those designs.
I had the unfortunate position of being at the town hall in Charlestown, listening to all of the design plans. Some of them are going back many years, and nothing on the ground. 90% of the conversation in that 2-hour town hall was about Minister Brand and his resume of roads. And I believe it was deliberate to shut down the time that we had left to ask questions. Because his good friend Timothy Keynes, who was at the meeting right next to me, after Brand would have given his opening statement, prompted Mr. Brand, tell us, Mr. Brand, of all the good things you have done. And, you could see it was a setup. He knew exactly the question was coming. So he had a whole litany of small projects throughout the length and breadth of Nevis that he said he did as the minister. And it was I wanted to do this, and I wanted to do that, and I fixed the Craddock Road, and I fixed the Crosses Alley, and I fixed this, and I fixed that. Not Public Works, not the team, not the cabinet, But more to the point, there is not a single project in that entirety of presentation that focused on anybody from St. Paul's. No household. He didn't make anybody's lives better. He didn't make the fishing community any easier. The finger pier down there in the heart of Charlestown has been like that for years. There is no boat ramp in Charlestown or anywhere on this island, matter of fact. All right, and you mentioned the community center he promised years ago. It was embarrassing, to tell the truth. Of all the town hall meetings, the one in St. Paul was held in the Red Cross building, not in a community center because we don't have one. There's not more glaring than that. That you're sitting there asking to be sent back into Parliament, and you can't point to anything in particular that you've done for the people of St. Paul's, and you want to go back? You want to go back? Just up the road in Governmental Road is the biggest monument to failure. The hospital extension. Below that is another failure. The social services department. You're coming down the road to the pier. Nothing. You have no community center. What would make you believe that you've done enough for St. Paul's? That you've done some public works, culverts, and you've done some resurfacing, and that is enough? These are functions regardless of whether in fact you're a minister or not. You don't need a minister to pave a road. You need public works. Oh, sorry, paving. You don't need a minister for that.
Well, you know what is interesting? The concerned citizens movement seems to be building their platform and their hopes on doing roads. NRP did roads, much more than they did. And their argument was that was nothing. As a matter of fact, former Premier Vance Amory was disgusted that roads were done in Gingerland, Chickenstone, down into St. John's, come back up to Panko. He was annoyed. He said that it was a burden on the Treasury. Carl will tell you about the Earl-Swanston Highway Road and the dissatisfaction that the road was done. When we look at the Barnesgut Road, we know that the biggest critic of the Barnesgut Road being done was Mark Brantley. And so roads being done under NRP was of no consequence. But a little here, there is a big consequence. So people must vote for them because they do a little thing here. But the tremendous amount of road that was built under NRP, vote against NRP because road has no consequence. That says to me that the concerned citizens movement has satisfied themselves that somehow the people of Navy is stupid. And so we're going to treat them like they're stupid. We're going to speak to them like they're stupid. We need to reverse that and let them know you are the foolish ones, we are the wise one, and get them out of the way.
Gentlemen, I want to come to another clip from the Charlestown Town Hall meeting because I definitely want to comment on this one.
I met, in my mind, one of the most craziest things I've seen any government I've ever done. I met a well in Hamilton, which was one of the most highest yielding well on the island of Nevis. You understand me? Producing over 250, 300 plus gallons of water per minute. It was capped off because it consists of some high concentration of manganese. And I said to myself, there must be some technology. We are in 2017, 2018, 2019. There must be some technology somewhere in the world that can fix this problem. I did my research. I took to cabinet this proposal to install a water filtration plant at Hamilton. That high yielding well is now producing water, going through the filtration system and providing water for the people of Charlotte.
Okay, thank you very much, Minister Brand. And one thing I will tell you, you're in government, you're talking in church, you're talking in public long enough. You've got to learn the English language. You can't say most, highest yielding. Leave off the most, say highest yielding. Now that I've finished with my English lecture, I want to remind you that the person who was responsible for water in the previous administration, the person under whose guidance the well at Hamilton was drilled, is a fellow named Carlisle Powell.
Correct.
We had good people in the business. We got a fellow named George Morris. I got the greatest respect and regard for him. Had a fellow named Jerome Pinney. You had a gentleman named Brian Kennedy. And those persons worked along with Roger and Hanley and the others with the Nevis Island administration. That well that was drilled in Hamilton over the gut, I could shut my eyes and go to the well right now. I know exactly where it is. The well had a high level of manganese. That is accurate. When you finish with that, Mr. Brand, nothing else that you said is accurate. You see, you look like you want to make the previous administration and Carlisle Power look bad. You want to know the facts. You want to know why we didn't bring on that well. It had nothing to do with the high level of manganese. Because we had a water engineer here named Brian Kennedy. And I heard you say that I did my research. I did this. I did that. I did that. You can't even tie Brian Kennedy's shoestrings. I wouldn't even give you the toilet paper to go in the toilet and give Brian Kennedy when he's sitting on the toilet to tell him use that. You're not qualified. The Nevis Island administration under Joseph Parry did not use that well because we didn't need it. It's as plain and simple as that. We had water 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and if there was an additional day in a leap year, we had water on that day too. Because we had 1 million gallons of water from Bede. So we could afford to allow that well at Hamilton to sit there and relax. But guess what? Brian Kennedy did all the research. Brian Kennedy had the discussions with Skip Hogue, Jerome Pinney, George Morris. They identified the company where they could get the treatment for the high level of manganese, and it is not the company that the CCM administration is using. The price that you are paying is at least 30% higher than the company that Mr. Brian Kennedy advised us to use. You went and paid 30% more. But you had to bring on the well with the high level of manganese and treat it. You know why? Because you allowed the wells in Padlock. You allowed those to be silted over so that you were not getting high levels from them. The wells at CSS, the well right there on Pump Road, the levels are down, so you were scrambling. And before now, when you started to drill new wells, you had done absolutely no wells between 2012, 2013 when you won, and 2024. You just started drilling wells. So 11 years you sat down on your backside and allowed the water system in Nevis to run down where you had a challenge. You had to bring on the well. Under Joseph Parry, the entire cabinet knew about the well in Hamilton. We knew the yield of the well in Hamilton. We knew the cost of remedying the manganese problem. But we didn't need it, you know. Because everybody in Nevis had water 24 hours a day without that well in Hamilton. So, Mr. Minister Brand, know your place. You don't try to come and make the previous government look bad. Because that ain't going to help you. And I'm going to tell you, I think I should bring in Alan, let Alan talk to you.
And then, oh my God, then going to involve Carlisle in them craziness. I need to, take it easy. I beg you to involve Carlisle in our craziness.
No, involve me in our craziness. We didn't need that well, Mr. Brand. So you bring out that and you shine it up and you say, this is my diamond. The others didn't know what they're doing, so I had to come in and fix this. I want to use a word, but on radio, so I'm not going to use it. But now your place, you hear, Mr. Brand? We didn't want that well. We were supplying people with water 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the government under Joseph Parry knew if push come to shove, this is exactly which company we will engage. This is the cost of the treatment, and we can have that water in the system. But we were making do without it because we knew what we were doing. So know your place.
You know, the craziest thing is not that the well was there and not in service in terms of connected to the system. Spencer Brand need to understand that the craziest thing that ever happened on the island of Nevis is Mark Brantley chose him to design a hospital. And he took on that job knowing fully well that he can't do it and take our money. That's the craziest thing that happened on the island of Nevis.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening. So just the wells them run down, you know. And the whole infrastructure of this country run down. And you start to look good. Tell me where all the government offices them be. Tell me where I'm to the hospital. Tell me where I'm to the clinic. Tell me where I'm to the nurse's home. Tell me where I'm to the building down pennies who neglect. Right? These people are sick people. And we got to get rid of them. They're just not sick enough. They're lying and they're clever too. Good night.
You have a good night. Gentlemen are done with that. Me ain't got no more time with Bran. Let's move on to something else. I want to play a clip from the Premier's press conference in July 2023, and then I have a short one from 24.
Anticipation now, having lost some time this year, is that by the end of this year we should have the drillers in place to do the drilling, to commence the drilling. And as I said, this drilling is the production well drilling. Now, just to advise that there are some additional funds that we need to be spent because we need to improve the infrastructure. I'm told, for example, that these drill rigs, you can't put them on any road. They require, because of the weight and the complexity, that we need to have dedicated roadways, for example, for them to traverse. And so we need to put roads into the area, which is in the Hamilton area. We anticipate is going to lead to quite a bit of work, particularly for the youths.
Okay, I'll stop that right there, because the Premier had to go to the federal government to get them to sign off on a $20 million loan for the airport lands here in Nevis. Purchase of those lands at the airport here in Nevis. According to him, in July of 2023, Geothermal ain't going any place until they put in a dedicated road for the heavy equipment, and that they have to purchase lands in that area. Anybody hear of the government making any efforts? Because the government broke. The government cannot afford to buy lands from anybody up there. There is nothing in the budget. Government is running on fumes. So I just want to tell you, alert you, when you hear them say geothermal is going to be starting sometime soon, look to see if they're doing any roads. Because the Premier himself said they got to buy lands. I know exactly where the site is. Remember that all of these 3 sites were found, wells were drilled under NRP. Carlisle Powell was the minister. I know exactly where the wells are. I know where they are looking to put in the dedicated roads. And I've been speaking to some of the landowners. Nobody has received a cent yet. They have been approached. Offers have been made. But nobody has received a cent, and the government could not come up with 20 million for the lands at the airport. They got to come up with another 20 million for the lands for the wells. How they gonna get that?
Dr. Joe, federal government.
Papa Joe.
Papa Joe. But Joe has to pay for, Joe is paying for his.
Okay.
His.
Anyway, go ahead, buddy.
Let me play the one from 24.
Could you give us a little update on how far we are on geothermal? And then one other thing, the Honorable Conway Maynard last year and into this year, and followed up by Prime Minister Dr. Ju, stated that $17 million were given to geothermal. Have you received any of that money yet?
Okay, the issue in relation to geothermal is really the same issue that we've confronted all along, and that's an issue of financing. Congress Maynard would have mentioned US $17 million. That money has been approved. I want to use my words carefully. That money has been approved by the Caribbean Development Bank for the Nevis geothermal project. There has been no drawdown of any of that money yet. And the reason for that is because that money is to do the drilling, and we have not yet selected a driller. So we went out to bids in relation to the driller. That bidding failed for a variety of reasons, and we have had to redo and go back out to bidding, which I'm told is being done now. So none of that money has been drawn down yet.
Okay.
So we are still trying to find, however, the balance of the money, because we have what we call a funding gap. Put differently, the 17 million US is not enough to do the project. So we have a gap, and that is why we would have engaged with the Saudi Development Fund. We recall that some representatives from Saudi Arabia are here, and we have also engaged with other people. The Prime Minister has reported, certainly he has advised me, and I think he has advised the nation, that on his recent travels to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, he would have met with some individuals, and I can say that those individuals are currently in the Federation, and we are scheduled to meet with them tomorrow.
I'm going to end it there. The Prime Minister put out something to say our geothermal project in Nevis is moving forward with international bids submitted and US $37 million secured. Drilling is expected to begin in early 2026, ushering in a new era of renewable. $37 million, and I know that the Premier Mark Brantley must be wherever he is saying, Lord, I wish I could get my hand on that. Lord, Father Jesus, I pray that I would be able to get that 37 million under my control. Because if I get it and I pass it through Daniel Brantley or I pass it through Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, I don't care whether they find geothermal because I'm going to get some money. You know, I swear that that is a prayer that is ending up. But that $37 million, Mr. Premier, I don't think you're going to see any of that for you to sign off on, you know, because nobody trusts you with money. We have spent a lot of money on geothermal. We spent one election, $5 million to bring in a rig here from Middle America. Had ribbon cutting ceremony and so on. And not only that, after all of that, you went in the federal parliament and supported a resolution that gave geothermal control completely over to St. Kitts. So, as far as Mr. Brantley is concerned, he's in the back seat, just like we're in the government there with Timothy Harris. He said he was out in the yard. Boy, I'll be Premier out in the yard again. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Carla.
How are you tonight?
Dr. David and Tulu. I'm doing okay. How about you?
I am well.
Now, I was just listening to the Premier's response and what you read that the Prime Minister said. And help me out. Those two responses sound so different. They're like night and day. Why are they not singing from the same hymn sheet?
Because from the earlier ones from 2023 and 2024, the Premier still had a semblance of control over geothermal. But from the one from Dr. Drew today, Dr. Drew is telling you our geothermal over there in Nevis, see over there, but it is ours. We in control. We control this thing. That is why Spencer Brand came out and said, if you give control of geothermal to anybody outside of Nevis, it's political suicide. Spencer realized what was happening. He realized what had happened. Hello?
I'm not hearing you. What I was going to say is, you know what? People are listening to us, you know. People are listening to us, to our stations, what we say on a daily basis. And this will make investors out there, or the people out there who can invest funds or grants or whatever you want to call it to a country, it would make them question, well, what is really going on here? Why we're not, we just don't sound like we're together. Something is not right. Something doesn't make sense. That's what my simple mind is telling me. It's not coming together. It doesn't sound right. And when you have the leaders of the two islands not saying the same thing, it tells me something is really, really wrong. Are we ever going to see this geothermal thing happen?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Is this going to be another bridge product?
I think it's going to.
Talk about the bridge.
It's going to happen. It's just not going to happen with CCM. they can't deliver. They have proven that they can't deliver on this geothermal project. Thank you very much, Carla. Okay, we can't complete that unless we hear from my new friend, Mr. Brown.
But it's really of some concern, and it will be going forward an issue. Believe it or not, my word, it will be an issue going forward as to the control of geothermal. It will be an issue going forward. My word.
It would be.
It can be a political issue going forward.
Let me put it this way. If any government in Charlestown were to hand over the geothermal project to Basti, that would be political suicide. And I put it as plain and as blunt as that.
Well, it don't happen. We have already ceded control to Basti.
You believe Spencer is still of the same opinion?
I think so. He's on record.
No, he cannot be of the same opinion. Because since he uttered these words, the Premier and his other two colleagues went into Basti and codified this into law. That is no longer a Navy's resource, but is a federal resource and is controlled at Basti. Have you heard Spencer uttered anything else about this geothermal project and the change has taken place?
But you are agreeing with Carla. You realize you're agreeing with Carla. If they went into Bastia and did the agreement like you said.
So they committed political suicide? Yeah, so why Spencer still stay with the party and fighting to win with the party when the party has committed political suicide?
What a choice does he have?
Be decent and come out. Be decent and walk away.
You're joking, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we'll make this our final call. We know we started a bit late, so we have to make up the time, but we'll make this our final call tonight. Caller, good evening. Hello? I think we missed the call. Gentlemen, we got a lot more stuff here, but we're not going to get through them tonight. And next week, we want to engage Dr. Daly on the poultry processing, because he's the man who brought this idea forward. So we want to start the show next week by engaging Dr. Daly so that he could tell people what his vision was when he came up with this whole poultry processing thing. And we want Dr. Daly to tell us, you're giving him a whole week's notice, we want him to tell us how far Nevis would have been had the NRP stayed in government with respect to this poultry processing. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, so what you want to tell me, Spencer, sit down there and commit political suicide with them?
Harry Curry, yeah, we do rest of them.
Well, all right then. Good night.
Have a good night. Yeah. So that is where we at. And going forward, we're going to look at some of the projects that the NRP conceived and that the CCM tried to copy without understanding the merits and the workings of those projects. We're going to start with poultry processing next week. And we're going to look at other projects. And we're going to show you what the NRP idea was and how it would have worked and where Nevis would have been had these projects been implemented. So that's coming up next week. Let me just play the ads one more time and then we can go into closing statements.
PICO, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to
Do you
go.
know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Okay, and we're back. And the designs by Spencer Brand, all those different designs he had, you remind me of this from the Premier's press conference.
On the geothermal project, I want to say that my update is I do not have an update. Geothermal, I don't have any fresh news. I wish I knew that you would ask the question about fiscal performance, because I have the numbers, I just don't have them with me. You asked about the broiler project. I really do not have an update, but I assure you the next time I come back, I hope to have an update. I did not speak to the minister prior to coming here. CBI revenue on the fair share issue, I do not have a report on that. Status at the Alexandra Hospital, I don't have an update today. The broiler industry needs, again, I do not have an update that I can give. Geothermal update, I have no further updates since the last time.
Gentlemen, this government is like a whole comedy show that you get for free. I say for free, but we got to pay them. That's the unfortunate part about it. Somebody here is being mischievous and asking me if I have any comment on the West Indies cricket team before I go. I plead like the Premier. I have no comment. I wish I knew you would ask, because as the Premier said, I have the numbers, but I didn't bring them with me. So there's a podcast out there by a Powell, a Kyron Powell. Go listen to that, and that might satisfy you with respect to his views on this whole matter. Tulu?
Again, let me thank all the persons who would have stayed the course with us this evening, and all the information. I encourage you to go out tomorrow, and even starting tonight, and share the information and let people know that this administration led by Mark Brantley has been taking us for a ride. Take to heart the word of Maya Angelou, who said, when a person show you who they are, the first time believe them. The Concerned Citizens Movement, the entire leadership, has demonstrated not only one time but over and over that there are a bunch of liars, deceivers, grifting off of our backs, in that they have enriched themselves while they left the rest of us poor. Please, let us join together as Nigerians. Follow the advice of Kibo. Vote these people out, and so that we can have our island back again. Good night.
Dr. Daly?
Let me say thank you to all the listeners for tuning in and staying the course with us. My circle of friends, Carlisle, is getting smaller and smaller with age. I'm having fewer and fewer friends because, number one, I cannot stomach persons who are disingenuous. I cannot stomach persons who are unpatriotic. I cannot stomach people who are not for Nevis. It's difficult to withdraw from relationships with people that you have known basically all your life, because you have grown so far apart in your belief system. And when you try to share your belief with them, it leads to antagonism and conflict. So I withdraw peacefully, gracefully, no acrimony. And perhaps this may be selfish on my part, but I'm no longer willing to try. I've given up on so many people because what is so obvious, even in their own conversation, they're willing to sacrifice. They're willing to give heartache to their grandchildren and children, the inheritors of this world, the inheritors of this island, matter of fact. They know this country is going wrong. No doubt about it. They know. They feel it every day. When they go to the groceries, when they have to face the bank and they can't note is late and everything is piling up on them. They feel it. They know something is wrong. One gentleman told me, I have not voted in the last 2 years. And I was deeply offended by it. Deeply offended by it. Because in the same breath, I'm being told, I love Nevis. I love this island. I love being here. The two are polar opposites. This is what you call oxymoronic. You cannot tell me you love Nevis, but do nothing in your power to try and change the direction at which Nevis is going. A direction that you admit you know is wrong. And so I'm having a hard time, my brothers, conversating with people who know wrong is being committed on the people and sit back and say nothing and do nothing to change the trajectory at which we are moving. And so I've become selfish. And I've moved away from those people because they are an abomination to my spirit. I can't take it anymore. Because if you live in ignorance and I'm showing you the light and you recognize the light but still moving in the opposite direction, then what the hell am I talking about? What am I wasting my time for? I don't want to hear myself speak. I want assurances that my children and my grandchildren and their children would have a place called home. It doesn't seem to be of any consideration for a lot of people. When I tell you, when I went into the town hall on Sunday, and you could hear, you could feel the eyes piercing the back of your head, like bullets. Like, what the hell is he doing here? Why is he here? Defending the people of Nevis from a government that we see nothing wrong with. But you look in their bank accounts, you look at their assets, you look at where they send their children to school, look at the car they drive. They're not for us. These are persons who have sucked on the nipples of this country here for a long time and are unwilling to share with the rest of us. And so I move away. I move away. And it's a sad thing for me because these are people you've known all your life. These are people you've broken bread with, you know, and had conversations with, but we're now on separate paths, divided by politics. And no matter how you convince them or show them and they acknowledge they are wrong, you know what they say? I can't bring myself to vote for NRP. I cannot bring myself to vote for NRP, but they love Nevis. So they stay home and allow the country to be ransacked, looted, and degraded by people who have lost their way, who no longer care, no longer interested in good governance. Transactional people, people who love money more than they love life. These are the persons who are now governing this country. The premier is now trying to build a dynasty between his family to control Nevis. It's for us to stop them, because what they're doing is wrong. You can't have a situation where The mother is selling land. The daughter is doing the land holding license certification. And the father is approving them. How can we live with this? How? In God's name, can you say this is right? This is righteous. This is good. This is ethical. Can't. You can't. But yet, because of our own personal selfish greed, we don't want to change. And so I move away. Thank you all. See you on Saturday.
I'm going to make it a very simple close. At the start of the show, I should have extended condolences to the family of Terry Adams, who was a customs officer, sports official, very opinionated. You knew his position because he spoke, and he spoke clearly from his heart. And so we want to say rest in peace to Terry Adams. I know I spoke to you quite recently. I know you had your challenges, but you never complained. So I want to reach out and give condolences to the family. Those of you who like cricket, we have 3 more matches at the ETW Willett Park in the Under-19 competition that is happening. Coming up tomorrow, the Leeward Islands will play against the USA 1. USA 1 is having a very good tournament, putting up good scores and bowling out teams that they play against. They haven't lost a match yet. On Monday, Trinidad and Tobago will play against Guyana. And on Thursday will be the very last match in this year's tournament. And it will be the 7th place playoff against the 8th place playoff. And so 3 matches left in the competition. Leewards against the USA tomorrow. On the 21st, Trinidad and Tobago against Guyana. And on the 24th, the 7th and 8th places will play off at E.T. Willett Park. The other playoff matches will be in St. Kitts. We from the Nevis Cricket Association have been putting our very, very best foot forward, because it's the first time that we are hosting regional cricket in 15 years and change. And so we are looking to do our best to ensure that we can get more matches. Let our youngsters see cricketers so that they can become interested in playing the game as well. We're going to see you next week. Always something interesting coming up, and tell me, next week will be no different. So make sure that you tell your friends and family members that they can tune in for 2 hours of good information. Until then, be good.